Hello, guys. First of all, Ghost of Gerulaitis, a new membership. Oh, wow. Good to see you again, mate. I don't know if you're the only one person watching the stream right now in its first minute, but if you show up later, we'll definitely chat. Haven't seen you there in a while, and what a profile photo as well. Anyway, we are actually tuning into Djokovic Griekspoor at 6-4-4-5 from Talon's perspective. And I have to say that this is also where I'm tuning into the match. This is where I'm starting to watch it since I just came back from the courts in Ismaning. John is after I finish off a 10-hour, more or less, day of work. Yes, exactly. That's John Silk to you. No, I mean honestly, I just would be watching tennis anyway right now, so who cares? Anyway, the situation that we have here, Talon Griekspoor up a set on Novak Djokovic, definitely quite surprising. As I said, I have not been able to watch anything so far other than the first few points of this game. By the way, it's 30-all. Griekspoor played this very decent drop volley and then couldn't just get the next touch right on a volley that would have killed the point. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I haven't seen much, but I know that Djokovic was 4-1 up in the opening set. Then Talon won the next 5 games. And I also know there was a patch in there when he won 11 straight points. So yeah, that seems really cool, of course. And he has 17 forehand winners already, which I just saw on my screen. Obviously, the best shot of Talon Griekspoor. And yeah, that's basically all I know. I know people have been suggesting that Djokovic has been a little off color and like maybe doesn't care all that much because, well, the Masters #1 ranking, that these are not his main goals right now. I mean, he only really peaks for the majors. I think to an extent that could be true, but at the same time, like, why is he here then, right? He is fighting for something. And yeah, we'll see if Griekspoor can finish it off in 2. If he can, if it's gonna be like his initiative, if it's gonna be his great play that makes it happen, or is it gonna be Novak being a little subpar? I mean, so far so good, honestly. From the first few points that I saw, this was a pretty great one from Djokovic. A forehand combination first, very deep down the middle. Griekspoor has to slice and then just finishes it off with no real issue there. So we are back to deuce, back to Djokovic being 2 points away from taking the second set. Sorry if I'm moving a little bit in my chair. For some reason, my legs hurt a lot today. I don't know why, because I have been walking every day quite a lot here, but it's been the same every day. I haven't done more today. So not sure what the reason is, but yeah, so far they're kind of killing me. Anyway, Griekspoor was in big trouble on this next point. He had to get to a Djokovic shot that was a little mishit and like uncomfortably short, but eventually he gets there, plays a good volley, and we have another point for 5-all. So, well, I don't know if this is the typical Djokovic match where he loses the first set, and if he wins the second, then he wins the third. Because again, I haven't really been watching, but certainly quite crucial for the underdog to try to get it done here. I will have to look up Talon's top 10 record in a second. I don't think this would be his first top 10 win, right? I think he had like 2 or something this year. But generally speaking, obviously this has been a phenomenal season for him, and it would be a great achievement nonetheless, like regardless of Djokovic's performance, really, which again, in this game, I think it was just normal. Regardless of that, it will be a phenomenal way to sort of crown this year, right? I think Talon might be still playing next week. I actually haven't checked that, but let me quickly see that as well. No, he's actually not. So this is his last tournament of the season, unless the Netherlands are in the Davis Cup finals. Although, have they qualified? I think they have actually, right? Yeah. So Griekspoor will still play the Davis Cup finals, of course. Joel Niemeyer over Djokovic. Hello, Nurlan. I also haven't seen you in a while. Why is Joel Niemeyer better than Novak Djokovic, and in what sense? I maybe can get behind this logic behind this argument if there's good logic behind it, or at least it's a funny logic behind it. So I'm waiting to see it. Anyhow, Djokovic lost the first point of the 11th game as well. And in the meantime, I'm checking up Talon Griekspoor's top 10 record. But let's watch the next one as well. Djokovic spreading the court really nicely with the forehand and eventually gets the error out of Talon. Although, honestly, the ball, other than the placement, didn't have that much on it. He easily could have played it back. So this year, yeah, Talon Griekspoor beat Taylor Fritz in Washington, and I'm pretty sure he might have a top 20 or top 10 win from Rotterdam as well. Yeah, Zverev, and I think even a top 20 win from Rotterdam a few years back. But does he have a top 10 win other than the one against Fritz? No, it's only Fritz in Washington. So this would be quite a milestone for sure. And it's kind of similar, like, Sonego when he beat Djokovic in Vienna, although that performance from Djokovic was like shockingly subpar. Whereas this, from what I see, from what people have been saying, I don't think it's that obvious, but yeah, it would be a phenomenal way to finish his season outside of the Davis Cup finals, of course, which also will be a very nice moment for Talon, I think. The first time he really enters it as first of all, getting Netherlands into the Davis Cup finals. This is largely up to him and Botic van de Zandschulp, of course, and Wesley Koolhof. And also the fact that he's going to be entering that as a sort of de facto leader. I mean, you could probably argue that maybe Wesley Koolhof is the leader, but the singles leader of Netherlands. Has he really missed it? I guess he must have. Yeah, second serve return. This could have gone in and gave Djokovic a bit of trouble, but it didn't. But anyhow, when it comes to Griekspoor's top 10 record, he's actually 1-10. And he already has 2 losses against Novak Djokovic in that time. Well, in this category as well, let's say. And that was at 2021 US Open, 3 sets, quite easy. And this year in Dubai, also quite easy. So that would be absolutely massive. So far, only 1 top 10 win against number 9 Taylor Fritz, and Fritz has been giving out career sort of milestone wins to everyone recently. That's beautiful from Djokovic, though. He forces Talon to slice, comes into the net, and then plays this super soft touch shot and gets to 6-5. So if Griekspoor is gonna end it in 2, he's gonna have to do it in a tiebreak. And against the number 1, I think Griekspoor has only played on 3 occasions, and all of these are against Novak Djokovic. Today being the 3rd. 3 with this one. So. Would be quite massive. As for the sort of year-end number 1 race, if Griekspoor beats Djokovic, it would definitely give Alcaraz a chance at the ATP finals, but he would still be fairly unlikely to do it, I would say, as Turin conditions are likely going to favor Novak. And Alcaraz, of course, has also suffered a loss here early against Roman Safiullin in the 2nd round. So this would be just 1 round later, just a little point gain. Even if Djokovic wins Paris, he's not going to be secured as the number 1, but he's going to be all but secured because he will only need a round-robin win, or Alcaraz to 1 round-robin win, or Alcaraz to lose 1 round-robin match. So all but secured. This match does not have any implications for the ATP race as well. Of course, the last Turin qualifications. The next one will, Rune Altmaier, and will probably be still here on the stream when it happens. So that's when I'm going to talk maybe a bit more about that. I'm probably also going to talk a bit more about what happened earlier today in Paris and the Sinner drama, if you may call it that, the feud. But it's not drama really. It's basically everyone against the tournament, right? So you could call it drama. And I'm probably going to talk more about that when we are either in the 3rd set here or when we are watching Rune Altmaier. Hello, Jane. No problem. And let's first see if Griekspoor closes it out in 2, because that's kind of big, and we need to check how it's done or how it's not done. Great point here. He just approaches the net after a +1 forehand. Again, no real issue. Makes the volley look routine, which it was. Unreturned serve, 30 love up. I have to check how this set was going, though, because I know the opener was 4-1 and then 4-6 and 11 straight points for Talon at some point. But I don't know anything about the dynamics of this one. Oh, I knew that actually that Djokovic had Griekspoor had a break point in the opening game, but it seems like then Djokovic had a low 40, and also then Griekspoor at 4-all had 1540. So it was actually very possible that I wouldn't even make it for this match, or like maybe let's say make it only for Talon's last game at 6-4, 6-4, 5-4. But of course, that didn't end up happening. Ooh, that's a sick volley as well from the Dutchman. Serving volleying, Djokovic claps him, and in appreciation, and I can definitely understand it. Was below the net, was sort of on the slide. He was lunging forward towards it, gets it on the line, and then just finishes it off with a smash. So 2 points to get to the tiebreak, and some very crucial moments. And this should be good, yeah. Serves, again, +1 forehand, doing the damage. Djokovic can't get to it. When I said on the group chat for sort of today's stream that what if Talon wins in 2, John said that he's not winning in straights. So let's see if John Silk got this right or not. Because honestly, from what I've seen so far, this isn't looking like a let's say 80-20 tiebreak for Djokovic. But of course, he is the master of tiebreaks and pressure moments after all, so maybe he's gonna handle it. He does kick off with a very smart +1 forehand. Like, he knew that he doesn't need to go for much. He just chooses the right direction, the right angle, and very smart shot actually. Not risking at all, like just maximizing what he had with that ball and making sure that it's put away. And I don't even think that Talon's return was all that weak. I think many players would have still been in the point here, but not Djokovic. Ooh, yeah, and there's a short return from Novak. Talon tries to rush into it, basically taking on the run, and he mishits it. He nets it. So first mini break goes to the word number 1, to the 23-time Grand Slam champion. And unfortunately, depends on what you're going to see, but I just want to see a good match. The second mini break also goes to the. By the way, did I just say 23? I think, yeah. Anyway, 24 time Grand Slam champion, of course. My brain still hasn't registered the US Open. That's very common, I think, that the things that have happened the most recently are escaping us. Yeah. On the stream, the sort of angle that we get in the TV camera, I thought that maybe the slope was going to be good from Griekspoor, but we don't actually get that sort of depth dimension. And yeah, it turned out that it's actually super short. So it's 4-love Novak, and it looks like John Silk will be right this time that Talon's not finishing this in straights, which will give us a bit more time to talk about some other results. And the Sinner thing, actually, I don't know what the plan is. We'll figure it out later, I guess, depending on how long this third set is, whether we're even going to do Rune Altmaier after that. I guess Rune Altmaier isn't particularly exciting anyway, which is why Sinner should have been in that slot, or Djokovic Griekspoor and Sinner one slot earlier. But first, let's focus on Talon Griekspoor, who is now 0-5 in this tiebreak. At one point, in the first set, Griekspoor won 11 points in a row. It's not going to be quite that for Djokovic now, as it's on the count has been stopped at 5. Griekspoor fired an ace out wide to finally get a point on the board in the second tiebreak. But of course, it's still not looking bright for the 27-year-old. Jesus, I should know it, but this is something that I never really am familiar with, like how old the players are. No. Yeah, 27. That's actually true. There was some weird noise. That's why I looked back. Anyway, Griekspoor should be more or less in control of the point, or Novak tried to make that very different here with these forehand short angled cross court shot, but he misses it. So 5-2, but it's still too many breaks. It's still Djokovic with two serves now from 5-2. And if he wins even one of them, he will have 3 or 4 set points coming up. Griekspoor gets a bit of a look because of a weaker second serve from Djokovic. He is now just spreading the court with the forehand, which is what he loves to do. And he's holding up in here, but once he gets the ball at his backhand, he misses the cross-court shot. So 6-2, 4 set points, Novak Djokovic. For the most predictable win that you can get from Djokovic, as in he wins the second set against an underdog, has some trouble, but steers the ship finally to the right course, and then wins the third set. We'll see. But anyway, he has 4 set points to get to a decider. And the first serve is in. Town cannot get it back over the net. So Novak has, in fact, leveled up the match. Did you feel a little ashamed after underestimating Pegula's power? Pegula's power, as in, in the group stage, I definitely underestimated her, mostly because of the windy conditions that were, let's say, foretold to us. They only really made an appearance yesterday, from what I saw. I haven't honestly been watching all that much Cancun other than the Świątek matches, and I watched something else. What was that? I can't remember even. But yeah, basically yesterday it was pretty windy, and if there's wind, Pegula is probably not gonna like it. She likes fast-paced, flat-hitting baseline tennis. So wind definitely doesn't play into that. But I didn't see either of her wins against Sabalenka or Rybakina. So I'm not really sure what happened there. But that was the reason why I thought that Pegula was probably going to be one of the outsiders of the group. She was not. She tops it, regardless of the score and the outcome of her match against Maria Sakkari. So yeah, she's going to be fine there. Anyhow, let's look at what happened in Paris earlier today. So we had Grigor Dimitrov just absolutely destroying Alexander Bublik 6-2, 6-2. And Dimitrov tomorrow is going to face Hubert Hurkacz in what is a pretty exciting match, mostly as, well, for one thing, Hurkacz is still very much in touring contention. A final here would probably be, well, I don't know if necessary, but it would be what can actually get him there, because I think winning tomorrow would be enough to get ahead of Rune if Rune loses today. But is he going to lose to Daniel Altmaier? We'll see about that. So it all depends on, of course, on some qualification scenarios. But generally speaking, this win is probably needed for Hurkacz, because even if he, if they just left it off sort of right here with both Rune and Hurkacz losing, he would enter Metz with a 125-point deficit to the Dane. So, he would actually still need to make up quite a lot. And if they are in the same half, then, Rune would have to get through him, theoretically, in order to get to be safe. So, he would still be in contention. But basically, the win tomorrow would really help, and the win the day after that also would really help the Pole. And he has been, honestly, performing very well down the stretch. Like after Shanghai, he saw that chance, that is there for him at the ATP finals. Of course, he was too tired to do anything in Beijing, but the other contenders also played poorly that week, so nothing really happened. And right now, Hurkacz is really managing his sort of tiredness very well, and keeps progressing. And I think whatever happens tomorrow, he definitely can be proud of his performance. Before Shanghai, no one considered him a contender for Turin anyway, and now he's actually making a very solid attempt at getting there. Dimitrov not fighting for anything really, but it will be fantastic for him to get another run, as we have spoken many times about this. But his season has been uber consistent, lots of good matches against the top guys as usual, but it kind of lacked highlights other than that Geneva final, which wasn't really that much of a highlight, I think. But recently, that has changed. Shanghai semis, beating Alcaraz along the way, now Medvedev in Paris and making the quarters. So that's absolutely massive. Stefanos Tsitsipas is also in the quarters, and he actually qualified for Turin today. And he's going to play against Karen Khachanov. Pretty okay match, right? Semifinals of the Australian Open this year. But basically, I think most of my excitement is pretty much gone. Tsitsipas was anyway qualified for the last few days. Like, it would have taken a ridiculous set of outcomes for him not to be. But of course, now that he's got there, Tsitsipas Khachanov, I'm not going to be following that tomorrow, honestly, too much. And otherwise, we also have Rublev, who's going to play against Alex de Minaur. And why is he going to play against Alex de Minaur? Because Yannick Sinner withdrew. And this is just on the organizers, right? They forced him. Well, they forced him. They didn't force him to play until 247, but that's what happened. Because the scheduling every single day is ridiculous. I mean, today they managed to pull it off because Sinner withdrew and every single match on center before Djokovic Griekspoor was really short. But most of the days, it's going to be very hard, even in an indoor venue, maybe particularly in a slow indoor venue. It's going to be very hard to play 6 singles matches in a row from 11 a.m. and not finish, past midnight, let's say, on like maybe, let's say, 50% of the days or even more. So, that's not ideal. And after that, they still schedule Yannick Sinner fourth. So let's say, 247, it was when his match ended. But before he was out of the venue, before he did press or whatever, before everything, it was probably like 5 a.m. before he went to bed. And then he wakes up, let's say 8 hours later, and he kind of has to just get ready, to go to the court again, to go to the courts again, to warm up, to practice, to get some physio work in, or like, just practice a little bit. So, that's awful. I still haven't seen a single reason why Sinner why putting him fourth was the choice. There's absolutely no justification, in my opinion. And Paris, of course, is just trying to grab the cash, doing these day sessions, night sessions, and also putting in 6 matches on center court, which is so much bigger than court 1 and court 2 in Paris. It is a bit of a problem of the venue that they kind of don't have the other courts. Like, they only have one huge court. It's doable indoors, but it is really hard because 6 matches from 11 a.m. are often going to end like that. Well, maybe not often, but it can be. It can happen. Let's say once, twice an event, and unfortunately for the organizers, but maybe good for the sport, because maybe we're going to see that this is, that this is an issue, that this isn't working out. And Yannick Sinner, I think the 4th seed was basically forced into withdrawing. Apparently he woke up in the morning and it was clear to him that he wasn't going to be able to give his best in the match against de Minaur. So, that's absolutely tragic for the event. And I can't understand why possibly someone could have made that sort of call, to put him fourth after that match. It was fine with Dominic Thiem, with when he played Wawrinka, and they ended at 2:23 a.m. because Thiem didn't have to play on the next day. And it's fine if Sinner played on the next day, because obviously that's the sort of event that we're in here. I mean, most players will play 5 or 6 times a week here. Well, most players, the ones that get to the final, will play 6 or 5 times. And also, they are going to be in consecutive days for the most part, for the players at least. Well, depending on how they were scheduled, but it's going to be 6 out of 7 or 5 out of 6 basically. But what I'm trying to say is that it could have been, it couldn't have been avoided maybe with this sort of scheduling, but you could have still put Sinner sixth, fifth, and it would have been better. I don't know if he plays then. Like that's something that I can't know, but do you think Sabalenka is a serve bot? No, definitely not. I mean, the sheer definition of a serve bot is that you have to, like, this has to be your only weapon, really, only thing that gives you points. You're basically just serving. If you're not serving well, you're not going to be winning points too much. So Sabalenka does not qualify whatsoever. I honestly always had the issue with this term. Like there are very few players who qualify for this, in my opinion. I don't know if you, even if you had like Ivo Karlovic, he had excellent volleys, right? So he's kind of a serve volley bot, you could say. Uh, Slice of the ground was not half bad too. I mean, people were still outplaying him, but that was in these like neutral rallies where they are in front and they're spreading the court. But that was mostly because his movement was so poor, right? But yeah, probably guys like that would maybe qualify. Was there any talk of putting Sinner on another court yesterday? No clue about that, but it seems like they are not really willing to move anything from center for the reason that I said. The ticket holders, the fact that the court number one, court number two just don't have the capabilities of holding. I would have to check. I don't know how big the difference is, but I know in Bercy it is an issue. And I saw someone, for example, one of the producers of Tennis TV, Enrico, on Tennis Twitter, suggesting that he has been to Paris, of course, to Bercy, and he was suggesting that we could maybe make it a 32-player event. The ATP won't go for that because, well, the notion that they have is expanding everything. I also am not sure if this is actually the way to go, but it seems like Paris is just not really equipped to handle this many matches. And yeah, we'll see about that. But this, finishing a match at 2:47 and playing on the next day at 5 p.m. That's just wild. And Vasek Pospisil actually had a really nice, really nice, I mean, a tragic tweet, honestly, from his perspective about him a couple of years ago when he finished at 1 a.m. and then they told him to come back at 1 p.m. or something like that. And it's in the rules. I can't remember what the exact rule is, but I think maybe like 12 hours between days is necessary or something. But you should only put players in this position if it's absolutely necessary for the event to continue. Like, for example, Montreal this year, right? When we had that Rybakina, Pegula, Samsonova trio at the end. And then Samsonova gets completely destroyed by Pegula in the final because she had to play the match before. Like there, the issue was very different, that they had night session and day session, and like the semifinals were held. One of them was held like 6 hours before the next or something like that. Something crazy like that. So that's a very different issue. But there, they could have, like, at that point, they basically had to play it like that because, yeah, the event has to continue. And there was also rain involved, right? And here there's no rain. There's no justification for anything, basically. Yeah, we've got, by the way, Djokovic may be in a bit of trouble already, 15-30 in the second game, and Griekspoor blasted a pretty good forehand return. Yeah, Ghosty, my beard is off. It was like maybe a week ago. Basically, I knew that I was going to the Challenger in Ismaning, where I'm right now, and I just decided, okay, that's enough. I mean, I cannot show up there and possibly, talk to some players or something, or just, be at the event with the beard that I had, which was, yeah, only really a thing when I was able to stay at home and not show up in public. Yeah, I did call this tournament a slow indoor court. I know there's been some discussion about it on Twitter, but I think for the most part, it's pretty obvious that this is a slow indoor court. It maybe didn't used to be in like 2000, I don't even know when, 15 or 14, but later on it was certainly, the surface definitely was changed to a slower thing. And now also with the heavy balls, it does not play fast. And the reason why I'm even mentioning that in regards to the 6 matches a day is that, I'm in Ismaning right now, carpet courts indoors. They actually pulled off 6 matches a day in the first day of qualifying, I think, and maybe even on Monday as well. But yeah, the main thing is that on carpets, sometimes sets are rapid. Today we had Striker Moleker finish off a set, a tiebreak set in 38 minutes. It's not going to happen in Paris, Yeah, I am in deepest, darkest Germany though, so it's similar to Poland. But I'm not the one who pays for the electricity here, right? I already paid for the room, so I can just put on all the lights. Whereas in a Polish setting, I would probably be the one paying for the electricity, unless I was doing this from some hotel, which has happened in the past, of course, for sure. Is this Paris match a case of same old story with Novak matches? As in, he's sort of not there mentally and still wins in free. I only started watching from 6-4-5-4 from Griekspoor's perspective, so I cannot really speak about that. From that point onwards, he played a few okay points at the beginning of the tiebreak, but that was mostly in Griekspoor. And the parts of the match that I was able to see are actually very tight so far. Why do you think it's supposedly cooler to be better on faster courts than slower ones? That's an interesting thing. I think just generally for people's viewing pleasure, most will enjoy faster action, sort of winners. That's what catches our eye. Of course, that's not unequivocal. That's something that everyone has a preference for themselves. But I think certainly in a lot of occasions there are also these players that just have good weaponry, and we instantly sort of jump to think that, okay, this guy has good potential. And sometimes that's true. Like when I saw Medjedovic play for the first time, right? I was like, okay, no way this guy is not going to be like top 50 in a few years. And that's going to come true. Like I'm 100% sure about it. I think everyone right now is. But there are definitely some other players where you just see the weapons and you're like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Obviously, some other people will have different opinions about it. But I think, sort of generally speaking, tennis fans do tend to prefer aggressive players, and then also faster courts than slower courts. I think my beard. I think I'm fine without my beard. Or in terms of my tennis acumen, I hope so. At least I have done a couple of streams since, probably more than a couple, and people haven't been complaining, so that's okay. And yeah, that's I managed to make it to the end of the comments. So now we're back to the match. 2 hours actually on the clock. The first hole for Griekspoor was just the same, as in the tail end of the second set, when he was actually playing well until the tiebreak. And it all started with this +1 forehand error for Love 2 and sort of went on from there. But for now, he's holding up fine in this third set as well. Hit his 10th ace a second ago, and now he actually had a shot at another one, but just barely missed it. I might tell you a hilarious, well, I don't know if it's hilarious, but I might tell you a good story from Ismaning today. Maybe after this game, as Djokovic fires a big backhand return to get Griekspoor to slice, and actually that slice has been floated a little bit too much, 40-30. Nurlan and Ghosty in the chat. Yeah, that's a meetup. That's a crossover that we are not ready for. I'm definitely not ready for it, personally, myself. John with the outrageous predictions that have no basis in anything. We've had this conversation before. But I mean, they have some basis, of course. They have some logic. They have the history of Djokovic's matches against the underdogs, and the fact that Griekspoor did not deliver in the second set tiebreaker. Scott is talking about the Novak's kit. Let me look at that. I actually didn't even notice it. I also won't be able to tell you if it's pretty hot, but I can tell you that it's like a purple red combination, maybe a little Ostapenko ish, and yeah, it's definitely a color combination I have not seen yet from him, or honestly, maybe from any other player. How are the German carpets, Damian? I'm actually sitting sort of, my feet are on one right now, and it seems pretty comfortable. If my legs weren't killing me, it actually would be very nice. But in terms of the German, indoor carpets in terms of the courts, yeah, that I'm enjoying. That's very fast-paced tennis. I wouldn't want to watch it every single day of the year, but as a unique one-time event, I think it should certainly stay on the calendar. And I'm glad that it's surviving for now. Ismaning has been held since 2017. Anyway, 1-all, Talon Griekspoor with the advantage here. And he closes it out with an ace. So still holding on, hoping to prove John Silk wrong. That's what Talon Griekspoor is doing right now. And the funny story, or I don't know if it's going to be funny, but what I was going to talk about is that in Ismaning there were also a couple of Polish players. I don't actually schedule my challenger trips based on where Polish players are going to be, but when they are there, that's actually pretty cool and gives me more emotions, excitement. So one of them was Kacper Żuk in singles, and the other left still in the tournament today. Actually lost today was Szymon Walków in doubles. And so I was watching this match, and I was sitting like in the very corner of the court, and there were there's a regular stand and there's a chair. Like there are some chairs, and I was sitting in a chair. And there was the second game of the match. Their opponents, I'm not sure if it was Franzen or Jebens, but anyway, Oberleitner serves, and the return is like a mishit, and Oberleitner lets it go. Valkov also thinks it's out, but there's no call. And so they're looking at the line umpire, and she's like, no, it's fine, it's fine. And then suddenly, I'm just sitting there. I also thought it's out. And then suddenly, Valkov says to me in Polish, Damian, what was it? And I was, I absolutely freaked out. I panicked, and I told him it's out, but I was so scared I was gonna get it wrong. And after the fact, of course, I checked on replay, and well, you know how it is with replays, especially on Challenger stream quality. It's kind of hard to tell. I would still lean out, but I'm at least glad it wasn't like a clearly in ball, because if I just lied to him right there, I would have felt terrible if he checked it out, especially after the fact. But anyway, I did manage to. I think I managed to get this one right. Of course, it didn't matter because, well, they still couldn't have changed the umpire's decision. The umpire is not gonna listen to me. But yeah, it was just you're sitting down watching a match, and then suddenly someone speaks to you in, especially in Polish, and when you're in Germany, and you're like, oh, out, 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 out. And it was a scary, hilarious situation for me. Yeah, I don't know if it was funny, but certainly quite an experience for me today. And I don't follow the Polish players. That's not entirely true. I just don't follow Hubert Hurkacz i Świątek generally. No, that's also not true. I watch them, but they don't actually have. I don't actually have maybe like the will for them to prevail. I kind of watch it as a neutral observer for the most part. Although I have to admit that I have sort of gotten into that Hurkacz Turin race. I fully want him to do it now, absolutely. Because I just feel like he would be a good addition to the event, And he, to me, yeah, with how he's been playing since Shanghai, I think he just deserves it. I think he's really done a tremendous job at managing the physical fatigue that he's been feeling, especially. Although he actually only prevailed against Korda when he had some real issues. He lost to Felix and lost to Zhang. But yeah, anyway, I think he's really done well. And I think he will be a better addition to the event than Rune or Zverev. Rune is controversial, but I'm just not sure he's already fully there. Whereas Zverev, since Cincinnati and the US Open, he has been very disappointing to me. Even Chengdu, I know he won it, but he was like constantly in trouble there. and it just wasn't the Cincinnati US Open type of level that made me think that he might be like, top 5 very soon. And Świątek, I would also like to get her. I would like her to get the number 1. So maybe I'm getting warmed up to the Polish players. I it's not actually true that I don't follow them, because at the challenger level at ITFs, I definitely follow them quite a lot and get fairly invested in whether they win or not. Novak Djokovic, Talon Griekspoor, baseline points won 36 and 36 after this after 2 hours and 8 minutes. That's quite interesting. That's the stat I just had. Griekspoor just missed a couple of forehands, so probably this game is just going to be straightforward for Novak, and he will cruise into the 2-2 draw, 2-2 tie, 2-all tie. Novak looks absolutely trash. Looks like he's taken Tsitsipas sleeping pills, says Matthew. No, absolutely trash. It's like a normal 70% Novak to me. Played some decent points when he had to. When he hasn't so far, maybe that's when he hasn't stepped up. But it's also Griekspoor firing a fair few good serves and forehands, like the serve that he got in right now. I think that's like his 11 for 12 ace of the match, out wide to start the next game with 15 love. Elena enjoyed my story. Good. I was actually driving very near Dresden when I was going to Ismaning, and I will also be driving very near Dresden I will also be driving very near Dresden on Saturday. So probably not gonna visit, but it's just the autobahn, but autobahn in I guess. I don't know any German. But I know Elena is from Dresden. That's why I mentioned it, or lives in Dresden more accurately. I'm trying to start a rhetorical meme. Okay, nothing there. He's collapsing on his serve, says Miles. I suppose about Novak. He also lost his balance on the forehand just a couple of shots ago. And yeah, Matthew says that Novak's body language is fatter than a snake's belly. That's, I guess, that's why after this match, we're probably gonna be talking about Djokovic just not fully there mentally in Paris. But I wonder why he's playing if that's the case, right? Because he could have finished off his season or just played the ATP finals. I guess he wanted to give himself some sort of a warm-up before the ATP finals. And let's see how long that warm-up is going to be, because Taron Griekspoor is, of course, still in this match. But now Djokovic puts a few balls in the court and gets that backhand unforced error out of Griekspoor. Definitely the parts of the match that I saw so far, that Griekspoor backhand hasn't been, well, I wouldn't say it's been, failing him miserably. No, definitely not that. But it's had a few moments of weakness, and sometimes in pretty important moments as well. Especially when he just gets to play a few forehands and then returns to the backhand side. And actually, this is a very clear moment of weakness. I think he could have easily run around that as the +1 shot, but he didn't, and tries to hit his backhand cross-court and throws it out. The way I'm speaking right now, you would feel that Griekspoor's backhand is something awful or something, and it's not. It's a very decent shot, but it's just nothing compared to the quality of his serve and forehand combination. So that's what you're looking at. Maybe not in terms of giving you like errors on the defense. I think it's actually quite decent on the defense, especially as he also has a okay slice. But it definitely can just give you some errors in his attacking play if you get him to hit it a few times. And speaking of errors, this forehand from Griekspoor just bounces on the top of the net, hits the tape, and stays on his side. So Novak Djokovic 3-2 up with a break. He was already 4-1 up in the opening set, of course. So, maybe this is not game over, but it kind of feels like it with all the history against Griekspoor at the moment, right? I have not read Slaughterhouse 5. I have read Cat's Cradle, and I know more or less what Slaughterhouse 5 is about. I definitely did have it taught to me at the university, but I wasn't really attending and I wasn't really reading whatever they told us to. So, but this is my style of writing actually. Like when it comes to what I would enjoy, I know I would enjoy the book. I just don't really have time for it at the moment, I guess. But I will read it someday for sure. And Elena is not interested at the moment, so yeah, any possibility of a visit is impossible. Any possibility of a visit is thwarted. Let's say. I don't think it was possible anyway, as I will be driving most of the night, so have to catch just go straight away from the East Manning semis to my home. It's like 10 hours, maybe 11 hours drive, so can we please get a chaotic Deminor versus Dimitrov final? I would not welcome Deminor because I think then he stays in contention for Paris. And as I said, I want Hurkacz to get there. But Dimitrov, well, then I guess he beats Hurkacz. So that's also not good for my quest of putting Hurkacz into the Paris final. But generally speaking, I would like Grigor Dimitrov to finish this year off with a title. I think that would be really a great reward for what he has done this year, which for the most part has been maybe a little under the radar because, well, the guy had very consistent results, but wasn't exactly, setting the world on fire. So, yeah, I think he kind of deserves that title with what he's done over the past 5 years in general, right? And he hasn't had a title, sorry, in 6 years even. ATP Finals 2017. Looks like he's also not playing in Sofia. Although in Sofia, they will actually have this one thing, which is called the emergency substitution. I mean, they might have it. It's a possibility, which I think the rule is if two of your top four seeds withdraw, then you can get someone else from like top 20 or whatever. Like, if they want to play, they can actually enter the entry list. And I think Zverev might use that if Hurkacz and Rune keep piling up points. And there's actual possibility that Zverev will still need a result next week to stay ahead of them, because for a while it seemed like Zverev might be pretty safe too, but now it kind of just depends on what Rune and Hurkacz do here. So I think he might be taking something like that. So at the chaotic final, I guess that I would like must be with Hurkacz then, since I want him to get in. And actually, Hurkacz Rune final, that would be pretty exciting, because then Zverev would be in real trouble, right? 4-80, yeah, more or less. I mean, he could still get there with a Sofia round then, but yeah, he would actually have to ask for that emergency substitution. I don't know what his plans are. I think there's also a wild card that's unannounced, probably in Metz as well. So actually, there are a few possibilities for Zverev to play next week if he needs to. Yeah, I think Cat's Cradle was also pacifistic, and but generally speaking, like that, this political war related satire I enjoy. So I will read Slaughterhouse 5 at some point. Anyway, 15:30 on Djokovic's serve. Griekspoor gets a look at a second serve, and he is in the rally. Slices now. Yeah, the backhand is so loopy, but at least he gets it back in play this time. Yeah, and he just got it back down the middle for Djokovic. Djokovic plays cross court to his forehand, and that's an error that Griekspoor just cannot afford to be making in this situation, in this position, in this spot of his better wing. Yeah, sadly, this is looking more and more like a 70% Novak performance that just about gets him through, and Griekspoor not stepping up when it matters, because he's definitely somewhat tight here. Could have had maybe 2 breakpoints here, but he's not going to. Djokovic with a good serve, plus on forehand, smash. Yeah, routine. Doesn't need to go after that forehand again, does it just sort of softer. But yeah, that's, well, before a couple of points ago, a couple of games ago, actually, more or less, I called it smart. Right now, it just seems like he's also, that's all that he's going for, really. He's just really focusing on the placement of this plus one forehand and not hitting them with any actual pace bite. But it's okay because the serve put him in such a position where it's actually a very effective shot. Anyway, there's an ace from Djokovic to go 4-2 up. Hurkacz versus Rune final is cool with me now as well, says Miles. Yeah, I would like that too. Although maybe your reason is that Zverev would struggle to get in, right? Mine is more, it would be exciting for the race. And yeah, who out of these three players actually can make waves at the ATP finals? I think Hurkacz right now probably has to take the cake, although I would maybe change my opinion if he has to play Mets for it and like gets 5 more matches, for example, next week, right? Then he might be too tired for the ATP finals. Whereas on the Zverev Rune front, I don't know. I mean, Zverev has had some ridiculous performances at the ATP finals, but simply what he's been doing in Asia and here, it just hasn't been convincing at all. It just doesn't feel like that sort of year. Although if you put him against Alcaraz on the Turin court, I'm actually not sure if Carlos would enjoy that matchup as much as he did in the last few matches. Is there a player that has never done the sarcastic thumbs up to their coaching box? Probably not. At least once in their career. I definitely haven't, but well, you can hardly call me a player unless it's with the ladies, haha. And no, they're also not. But I also don't have a coaching box. So, but yeah, like real tennis players, I think probably everyone has done that. My humor today is surprising. I think it's probably because of the fact that I'm tired. But you get a more entertaining show. It wasn't an ace. I guess it wasn't. So Griekspoor will have to serve again, but so far he's keeping himself in it. There was a lame 15-all error here that sort of made me think that, okay, maybe this is going to end right here with Djokovic getting the second break. It still might, because Djokovic gets a deep return in. Griekspoor tries to pick it up with a half volley off the backhand and misses it. So still one more chance for him to close out this game. This serve is also not there. He is really going for his targets now on serve as well, just trying to find the best possible angle, and the percentages maybe could go down a little bit. And this is a very similar point actually. Djokovic with a deep return into the Griekspoor backhand corner, and again he tries to have volleyed. Again, it's like middle of the net. Djokovic stretching out his legs now a little bit. I don't know if it's like mini cramps. It kind of looks like it. But this unreturned serve from Griekspoor is going to give him another game point. Actually, Ghosty, I always wanted to have a tennis girlfriend because then we would play and improve, right? We would just constantly play each other and we would be improving together. You can also give me a table tennis girlfriend or a darts girlfriend. Like, I don't mind, whichever sport, really. I think it would be really cool to have a partner to just practice the sport with and get better along the way. But that's not really like my main criteria, I guess. But it would be really cool. Anyway, Tao Griekspoor follows this great serve with a double fault. So we are back to deuce. Yeah, and that's just too good of a forehand return from Djokovic. You could probably say that the second serve was too tentative as well, just placed in the middle of the service box, right where Djokovic was in terms of his hitting zone, strike zone, the point where he had the ball at the most comfortable angle and position. So another break point, well, first break point in this game actually for Djokovic, but for another break that would surely end the match right there. Uh, Griekspoor saves it though. Down the tee this time. Another unreturned serve. Barely holding on now. After 2 hours 22 minutes. Not enough probably to abuse these little physical, mini cramps that Djokovic has shown. I don't think that they will be that relevant in the next few games. But the way that Djokovic has been playing today, it would certainly make tomorrow's match against Rune more exciting. If Rune beats Altmaier, of course, and if Altmaier beats Rune today, then he would actually have like an absolutely sick percentage, record against the top 10, right? Because I think at the moment he is like 3-1 against the top 10 or something like that. Or has he played against a top 10 player since? But I know he was 3-1 at one point, and yeah, he is actually still 3-1 against top 10 players. Losing the only one on hard courts to Zverev at the Australian Open, but beating Berrettini at Roland Garros, beating Sinner at Roland Garros, and beating Rublev and Hamburg. The last two wins, of course, this year. And then he was also supposed to play Taylor Fritz here, but Fritz, of course, withdrew due to an abdominal strain that basically eliminated him out of the Turin race. It wasn't right away, but it was not long after. And now he plays today. He plays his fifth match against the top 10 player, and he actually has a 75% win rate. So if Altmaier would beat Rune, he would have an 80% win rate, and then he plays Djokovic. And it gets interesting. Would Altmaier be theoretically capable of doing a Rune from last year? I guess he would, right? Because of course here he actually wouldn't, because Fritz withdrew against him. But of course Holger Rune last year in Paris, he beat 5 top 10 players to get to the title. So Altmaier would have Fritz walk over, but let's count that for a moment. Then Rune, then Djokovic, then Rublev, and then Tsitsipas. Yeah, so it's still possible for Altmaier to get through 5 top 10 players, get through, with the quotes in Fritz's case, and it would be possible. But of course, I don't think that's happening. Daniel Altmaier is no Holger Rune. Rune Joker was the final in Paris, yes, Kosti, and it was probably one of the best Masters 1000 finals in recent memory. Of course, maybe a little overshadowed since then by Alcaraz Djokovic in Cincy, right? But it was really good. And just a ridiculous story and an achievement that probably will never be matched, beating 5 top 10 players to win a Masters 1000 event, and also saving 3 match points in the opening round, which adds to the mystery of how Holger Rune did it, although obviously he did it because he's an uber talented player. Griekspoor is in this rally, and he's actually holding up quite well. That's a 6 slice from Djokovic if it's in, but Griekspoor got to it and actually has recovered. Now he goes down the line with the forehand, and I think he's made it. Yes, indeed. And he correctly judges that the subsequent ball from Djokovic is going to fall out. So that was a really good point from Talon. He holds up on the topspin backhand, then he unleashes a couple of slices. Djokovic is there with an absolutely sick angle on one of them and the side spin, but he doesn't actually take advantage of it. And eventually Griekspoor gets into a position where he has like a trademark forehand for him, and he uses that very well. 21 shots, love 15. Maybe it's not over yet. Unreturned serve, though. He kind of had it on his racket, so probably will be ruining the miss there. But, of course, it's not that easy to handle. But in this spot, 3-4, trying to break to stay in the match, basically, he definitely will be regretting that return, as whenever you have a clean contact with your racket, you will. But now he has a second serve return to look at, and this is where he will definitely be thinking of this as a big opportunity missed if he doesn't, enter the rally at least. Well, he doesn't need to. Djokovic with a double fault. So this is sort of emerging as a clear chance for Griekspoor, and perhaps the last one that he's going to get in this match. Now it's all up to Djokovic and Griekspoor to see what's going to happen. I wanted to say that it's all up to him, but of course it's not fully up to him. Djokovic has him running, decent recovery, but that should be a routine smash for Djokovic. It's not actually. The Djoko smash makes another appearance, but the second attempt is much better. Yeah, since he finally. Best rally of the match, says Matthew. Oh, that's not good that this was the best rally of the match, because that was actually a really good one. But if it's the best match of the of a 2 hour 30 minutes long encounter, that's not amazing, I guess. But as I said, I've only been watching since 6-4-5-4, so I wouldn't know. Another big first serve from Djokovic, and he finishes it off with a smash. This time, he let it bounce, so it's easier. Although he also has missed a few times. Yes, Ghosty, my stream is likely ahead of you. It's very fast, but this is more in tune with the scoreboard that we have on the screen. So that's why we are using it as well. And that's really all I wanted to say. My stream is like 3 seconds behind the scoreboard that we have on the screen, basically. That's at least how it was in Świątek Golf, but I think it should be very similar here. Yeah, that's just an awful miss from Novak, though. I guess you could argue that Griekspoor's return made it slightly tricky. It was below the net. He had to play an approach shot. That was, just slower. But yeah, Griekspoor went left. The right side of the court was fully open. Can't miss it. But he did. Everyone holds their breath on a Novak overhead. Yes. I actually don't know who Talon Griekspoor's racket sponsor is, but if your guys are saying Tecnifibre, maybe when they show me, a better view of it. But yeah, it is Tecnifibre. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if that's how it's even pronounced, but it should be like a French firm company probably, right? Or is it? Yeah, it is a French. It is a French thing, so I'm actually not sure how Technifab. It could be Technifab or something like that. Yeah, never mind. I think today I watched Antoine Bellier play with it as well, although I rarely notice, so I wouldn't really know. But I think he plays with that as well. Anyway, breakpoint Talon Griekspoor, and if Djokovic loses this game, we're gonna be looking at that forehand for 40-30 as a moment where it all went wrong. He basically had the whole right side of the court open, and now he could be in real trouble, especially as there's a second serve on a few occasions in this the part of the match that I saw Griekspoor has been able to return them aggressively. Well, this time again, he does not get the chance. Ooh, and Djokovic is clapping sarcastically to the crowd, I guess, since they were, well, I don't know, probably just sort of frustrated about what he did in this game. And I guess that's it because, well, yeah, he committed a couple of double faults. He had that awful forehand miss and he loses it. So Talon Griekspoor back to 4-all. And yeah, now I definitely have a different picture of the quality of the match that I had from just watching it from 5-4 to, let's say, 2-all in the third, because that stretch was actually quite okay. But anyway, I mean, that point, Griekspoor played at 40-all was really good. Backhand cross court goes to the net, finishes it off in style. But Yeah, he was given a major helping hand by Novak here. I have to note again, though, that, as I said earlier, beating Novak is essentially always a huge thing for a player, regardless if he's 70% or 30% or 110, right? It's the same with the Sonego win, which we're mentioning to this day, even though Novak was so out of it. But of course, the job isn't done yet. So he needs to hold his nerve and hope that there's gonna be more. No, maybe he needs to hold his nerve and just play the points the way he did in the opening point of the last game, or maybe the deuce one. Oh wow, yeah, that seemed like a great serve from Griekspoor. Djokovic just barely gets it and just barely gets it back over the net, and it's actually quite tricky. Djokovic came up with a similar shot a few games ago, this soft half volley touch, although it was different because it wasn't the plus one shot after the serve, it was more in a rally. But anyway, he came up with this good drop, same like half volley dropper, let's say. uh, Griekspoor actually can't, and he will go down low 40. Yeah, this one seemed a little, I don't want to say unlucky for the Dutchman, but he had the right idea there. Hits a good serve, forehand down the line into the space where Novak wasn't at, but the volley on the stretch just a little too weak, and Djokovic easily passes him there. So 3 breakpoints, and Djokovic might serve for the match. He might not let that slip a game ago actually get to him. That was a pretty sick forehand half volley from Griekspoor with the angle, but he misses the next backhand. So yeah, pretty horrible game now from the Dutchman. Yeah, and I can definitely see what you meant by the quality now. Fiber. Yeah, Fiber. Oh, Fiber. Technique Fiber. Although that actually sounded kind of German to me. Maybe I've been in Germany for too long, I need to run away to Poland. But yeah, Technique Fiber. Maybe that's you have to speed a little when you get to the Fiber part. I like that. I do it way too much, but well, anyway, that's not the most important thing in the world. Yeah, and was it because I don't what I have the stream on mute? So was it because the crowd were hostile to him? I figured that might be, but it also could have been like, yeah, guys, let's cheer for my performance. Look at how awful I played the last game. Which both cases were explainable. Yeah, two awful games in a row, just not by the same player, and also not by the player who was serving, which makes it, I guess, slightly more exciting. Well, more exciting usually, but yeah, at this stage of the match, we didn't want to see that. We wanted to see them keep going. Anyway, 5-4, and this is the moment where Novak Djokovic will be serving for the match. I think later today we're also going to have a stream for Sabalenka Rybakina, the straight up shootout for who leaves the WTA finals group and possibly and most probably plays Iga Świątek in the semifinals. So yeah, that's going to be very exciting too. I'm going to try to stay up to watch it, but I honestly don't know if I will manage. A couple of days ago, I didn't manage to stay asleep watching Riley Opelka and Tennis Sandgren, Charlottesville. I also want to see another Opelka match today for sure. Today he's playing against Aiden Mayo. Yeah, Griekspoor are quite visibly frustrated now. Already Tour says something to the crowd, I suppose, for them not to. I don't know. Again, I'm watching at mute, so not sure what's happening. But anyway, of course, it was Djokovic getting the first point with the unreturned serve. So he is now just 3 away from clinching this match. It would be a bit of a, well, I don't want to say a Pyrrhic victory, definitely not, because, well, he's still in this round, in the next round, and he hasn't actually used up like all of his stamina or something. But for a win, that would be little unimpressive, let's say that. And definitely cast some doubts in our minds ahead of tomorrow, especially if Holger Rune was going to beat Daniel Altmaier in convincing style. Then we would be like, okay, so maybe a repeat of Paris, a repeat of Rome as well can happen. Holger is actually 2-1 up in the head-to-head against Djokovic, being one of the few players who actually have a positive record against him. I guess active players, it's going to be like what, him, Vesely? Maybe that's it. I sadly couldn't include Ivo Karlovic in that group, but I'll just do it anyway. I'll just mention him anyway. Another unreturned serve, so this is now practically over, it seems. 3 match points, Novak Djokovic. Definitely not a vote of confidence, let's say. Not a match that will make us say, oh, Djokovic was so good, he must win the title now. But the most important thing, I guess, is that he pulls through. If he does, because, well, still 3 match points, second serve as well. We'll see if Griekspoor has it in him. No, he doesn't. That was a very good second serve from Novak, though. The kicker out wide really throws Talon out of the tram lines even, and he can't play the backhand return in. So, yeah, that's it. Not a great match, it seems. I was only watching it from 5-4 in the second set, and it was a bit of a rough one, 100%. Djokovic going 4-2 up in the third, then playing an absolutely horrible game with 2 double faults and that +1 forehand into the open court, which he missed. Then Griekspoor coming up with one that was slightly better than that, but actually, can you call a game better than another one when it was lost to love by the server? Probably not, but it wasn't as horrific for the eyes, at least, let's say. So, yeah, it's going to be wild. And Miles says that he's going to be commentating on Sabalenka Rybakina, so definitely make sure to tune into that. And what are we doing with this is my question. I actually don't know. Are we just finishing off this stream right here, or I will wait for John to reply to know what's happening, actually, because we did get a pretty big chunk out of Djokovic Griekspoor. It wasn't like I came for one game, so I actually don't know what the plan is now. Oh, I got a private message, I guess. Do I want... honestly, is there a point of watching Rune Altmaier? If it's my choice, I would probably stay, just finish it off here. We did get an hour of watching Djokovic Griekspoor. We chatted for a while here. Thanks to everyone for showing up. But I think, I think Rune Altmaier, probably I'd rather rest than watch that on stream. I'll probably just catch Radio Pelka, as I said. You guys can do too. In 36 minutes, Radio Opelka was starting his match in Charlottesville, second round against Aidan Mayo. Of course, Opelka is coming back after 15 months, so that's going to be good. And definitely tune into that stream of Miles and someone. Miles and, or is it just Miles, actually? I'm not sure. But just definitely tune into that. Rybakina Sabalenka, the shootout, everyone is expecting this to be fireworks. And let's see. How did Opelka look? Asks Miles. Against Tennis Sandgren, he blasted like 20 aces. So in that sense, he was definitely good. In the opener, Sandgren was just playing like a complete moron, honestly. Like, he was just playing against Opelka as if he was playing against a good defender. He was going for some very big he wasn't going for lots of margin for error, which is what you should do against like serve bots and players with no movement, right? You just spread the court with some controlled aggression and it should be fine. You're going to win it eventually. Whereas he was just risking everything on every ball. But I think in the second, Riley had to do slightly more. Too early to say what's going to happen, but I think there's every chance for him to make an ATP comeback. Obviously, a player who isn't that focused on physicality in the first place, the serve is always going to be a weapon that I think eventually is going to get him back up there. Yeah, let's just see. I mean, if he's still healthy, but I think with 15 months out, he probably waited for the right moment to come back. Let's see how he does today. I mean, this is the only reason why Aidan Mayo against Riley Opelka can be exciting, right? Because usually we would expect a very easy victory for Opelka, but because it's just his second match, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty regarding that, and yeah, I definitely want to check it out very soon. Yeah, and then as I said, Rybakina, Sabalenka. Opelka is not old at all. Opelka is like 25, 26, so 26. Yeah, he turned 26 in August. So yeah, that's going to be it then, and definitely check out that Sabalenka Rybakina stream. Very exciting match. I'm definitely going to be watching it as well, unless I fall asleep to it. It could be huge for the year number one as well. If Sabalenka loses today, then Świątek will only need to win the title, and it won't be. It also won't be related to the match tomorrow, so it actually won't matter if it's 2-1 or 3-0 in groups. So yeah, huge implications there. Actually, a real chance for Świątek to get to number one if Sabalenka loses. And actually, even if Sabalenka wins, because then they most likely play each other in the semis, and then Świątek can also win the title and get to number one, I think. So actually, a serious chance. While before the event, it maybe didn't seem like it, but that's what Sabalenka losing to Pegula and also Rybakina losing to Pegula at the same time caused, basically. And Świątek holding up well. Yeah, so that's going to be it. Thank you to everyone, especially Ghosty, who was back after a while. Saba claims she doesn't care about number one. Świątek does too, and I think for the most part, slams are more important. But right now, what are they really fighting for? Winning the WTA finals, which they both haven't done. So I think maybe more important even to them would be to capture the trophy than the year number one. But of course, if the year number one comes along with it, that will be good. And yeah, again, thank you to everyone. Ghosty, good to see you after a while. And we'll see each other probably even maybe tomorrow. We'll see. So
if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.